Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm back with another Game of Thrones review. Sorry I missed last episode. You can watch my update video to find out why. So screw that. We're moving on with what might be thinking back through the whole series. This might actually be my least favorite episode of Game of Thrones. And that's saying something because this was still a good episode. Every episode's good. This was just the weakest, so to say. So little of enjoyment. How do I export it? So little that was actually right happened in this episode. I'm going to talk about the stuff that was actually done right, but so much was done wrong in this episode that it really pissed me off, and I was very put off to review it. But if you can review the good, you can review the bad. My favorite episode of the entire series came out this season, episode 5. So obviously, there's going to be some losers. So I got to talk about the losers too. So season 6, episode 8 was pretty shit. Still good because it's Game of Thrones, but pretty shit. My main gripes from this episode came out of the Arya storyline. They blew Arya's storyline in Braavos. They blew it. It's just like they blew the Dorne storyline. Like, they just blew it. There's some storylines that they blow, and that's obviously going to be fixed with the Brotherhood version of the show. Or if you read the books, they'll be fixed. But I know Arya's storyline with the Faceless Men was going somewhere in the books. It felt so right in the books. But here, it's just wrong. They destroyed it. The way the arc, Arya's arc with the Faceless Men has officially ended in terms of the story, it seems like. And as of now, it was pointless. She is back to being Arya Stark. She's not no one anymore. And she's going back to Westeros. So her entire time in Braavos was pointless. She didn't make any allies that she can potentially gain later. She didn't meet anyone that could potentially really fit into the narrative later. She didn't learn anything new because she is back to who she was beforehand. So it was a pointless storyline, but that's beside the fact. I'm here to talk about this episode, not the Braavosi storyline as a whole. So as you can see, she wakes up. First of all, with they could have done something really good. They could have still kept everything the same, but wouldn't it have been great if the actress woman that she was actually hired to kill turned out to be a horrible person doing something horribly wrong? So she was going to be assassinated by the Faceless Men for her horrible actions. Wouldn't that have made it so much weird? Because Arya would realize, oh shit, she's wrong, but still realize not to be a Faceless Man and become Arya Stark again. And wouldn't that have been great? Wouldn't that have been so much better? But no, she had to be innocent and get killed anyway by the waif. So that's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. But anyway, what was the most dumb about this whole thing is that she got stabbed many times in the stomach in the last episode, walking through the streets on near death, was helped healed, but still obviously wounded. It was only the next morning. She was helped healed at night, and it was only the next morning that she was no longer that she was able to run around, do crazy actions, fight, swim, jump, leap. She got injured a lot more during these fight, swims, jumps, and leaps. So, like, I was like, what the fuck is going on? But then I had an idea. A little idea came to my head. Maybe this whole thing did have a setup, and she's actually learned to effectively use the faces of the Faceless Men, and she's giving them to maybe other faceless assassins that we don't know about, or maybe allies that she's made in Braavos that we haven't seen yet. And she's giving these faces to them, so they're taking the hits for Arya as she escapes, and the final Arya was the real Arya that came with the waif's face to the House of Black and White. And I was like, that would have been awesome. That would have been fucking great if they explained after who the people that were helping her were. They could have brought Syrio Forel back. That would have been really cool. If he was some people say Seraphirel is Jaqen H'ghar, but I don't believe that at all. But anyway, so they could have done that. They could have done that approach. They could have made it as a test for the waif, as Jaqen H'ghar was actually disguised as Arya. They could have done that, but I liked my first theory earlier. And then no, she's just Arya. She didn't do anything unique. She just got stabbed multiple times and was fine running around, jumping around. Like, really, you could have done something with it. You could have explained it. You could have made it better. But you didn't. And I know George R. R. Martin wouldn't do it that way. And I know George R. R. Martin had a point for the whole Faceless Man storyline, because he's not dumb. He's very smart. He wouldn't just put a whole arc in the series that was just useless. Everything happens for a reason in the Song of Ice and Fire. Everything comes back in the song. And if this is what George R. R. Martin intended, I'm very disappointed in him. But I really doubt that he intended that, because the Arya storyline was butchered. I was so excited at the very beginning of end of season 4, very beginning of season 5. I'm like, fuck yeah, Arya's arc is gonna get great again. I loved when she was walking with Howard. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna get like my favorite arc again. We're gonna learn more about the Faceless Man. It's gonna be amazing. And it was just a terrible arc. I was never invested in Arya her entire time in Braavos, except when she killed what's his name. I'm blanking out. Meryn Trant. When she killed him, that was badass. But other than that, it was bullshit. Really shitty arc. They completely ruined it, and now she's gone back to Westeros, which is cool. I can't wait to see one day, maybe in the aftermath, if she actually sails and discovers the far, far east. So that would be awesome. She was talking about how she wants to travel what's wester than Westeros. And if it's a globe, she'll hit the far east if there's no continent in between there, which I don't think there is. So maybe she'll hit like the far, far east that we don't even know about yet, which would be pretty awesome. But who knows? That's probably not going to happen in the show. I think Arya is an endgame character, so I don't think she's gonna die. I want to do a video on endgame characters, so I'll make that another time. But I do think Arya is an endgame character, so I don't think she'll die before the end of the series. So now that I spent nearly 8 minutes on one plot point, I'm gonna jump right into something that was very disappointing, but also very intriguing. And this is Tommen, aligned with the Faith, bans trial by combat. That's a big fuck you to Cersei, who's been lying on this whole time. Oh, I'll have the Mountain Dew for me. And that's naturally why the High Sparrow knows. The High Sparrow knows what's going on and is like, I gotta fucking screw her. So that would happen. Now she's turned her son, the only thing left that she has, against her. He's turned her son against her. And it's funny because I have hated Cersei for so long, and now I feel bad for her. I don't even think I felt bad for her. I feel like I feel bad for her more now than I did at the end of season 5, which is very interesting. But I actually felt bad for her. And I don't know whether I hate Cersei or the High Sparrow more. I almost am happy to see the High Sparrow doing all this shit to such a shitty family, but the truest, shittiest members of this family that created the monsters that are the ones that are still alive were Joffrey and mainly Tywin Lannister, who created Cersei and Jaime. So that was so now that they're gone, you sort of see them on a redemption arc. But what I think is going to happen now, and this was addressed in the episode, Qyburn said, remember the rumors that we heard? My lords confirmed that they're true, or something along those lines. And what the most of the Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire community seems to be thinking is that these rumors were the rumors that the Mad King's wildfire is still all around the city, leading to the popular theory that Cersei Lannister will take the madness of the Mad King in vengeance and either burn down the whole sept or the entirety of King's Landing, fulfilling the Mad King's prophecy. And wouldn't that be fucking horrible? Like, holy shit, that would be amazing if she just snapped and use the wildfire to destroy her enemies. And I think that's naturally what they're leading to. They even included the whole burn them all flashback with the people pouring the underground at King's Landing pouring the wildfire. Like, they were sort of hinting at it. It's like last season when they said, "Oh, Uncle Ben, we heard Uncle Benjen." Even though there wasn't anything to do with that, they sort of knew, it sort of implied that Benjen was going to be coming back the next season. And I feel like maybe, I don't know about this season, but definitely by the end, maybe, I don't know about this season, but maybe next season, I could see Cersei either burning down the Sept and then accidentally burning down King's Landing, or just burning down the Sept, or trying to burn down King's Landing purposely. One of those options I do think is probably going to happen. It is heavily hinted at. So that was really awesome. So, but out of this, we got confirmed that Clegane Bowl is not going to be happening. Why would they bring? I don't understand. I didn't understand why they would bring back the mountain unless they're going to do Clegane Bowl. It seems pretty obvious, but they're not doing Clegane Bowl. The theory is crushed, and I thought that was pretty obvious until we got to the Brotherhood Without Banners subplot, where we see that Thoros of Myr and Beric Dondarrion are back. We haven't seen them since Season 3, I believe, which is interesting. They're back, they're here, and they're very relevant to the events that are going on right now as the War for the Dawn is coming, because they're some of the few, other than like Melisandre, some of the few worshippers of the Red God left in Westeros. And once the White Walkers are made, we're going to need all the Westerosi worshippers of the Red God as we can to obviously fight in the War for the Dawn. So it seems like, based on the dialogue that they have, that Thoros of Myr and Beric Dondarrion, the Brotherhood Without Banners, two were pretty much leaders of the Brotherhood Without Banners, are trying to recruit the Hound for the War of the Dawn. If there was a character I never thought would get involved in the War for the Dawn, it was the Hound. But maybe that's how the Hound is going to truly redeem himself. Not by living in a small church community, but maybe by fighting against the White Walkers in the War for the Dawn. And that would be really interesting. It would be really intriguing to see that. And it's a development I never thought would be coming for the Hound, but I really like where it's going. So I'm very interested in that. And so we do see that. But the thing that pissed me off about the Brotherhood Without Banners whole arc with that is that last week heavily hinted at Lady Stoneheart. And I'm like, okay, they're going to bring Lady Stoneheart back. I mean, like, I was excited. I'm like, oh, finally, they're actually doing Lady Stoneheart. They're doing... If you don't know the Lady Stoneheart plot from the books, I don't want to spoil it here. In case you're not, you want to read the books eventually. If you want to learn about it, don't care. Look it up. Lady Stoneheart is a certain character that I'm not going to explain who she is because it would be spoilerish, but she is very important to the Brotherhood Without Banners subplot of the series. So I thought naturally, with all the hanging, which is sort of Lady Stoneheart's thing, that Lady Stoneheart did indeed take leadership of the Brotherhood Without Banners during the time since we last saw them in Season 3, during the past 3 seasons. But I do think they would have done Lady Stoneheart in Season 4 if they were going to do it, because that was the perfect time for it, right after the Red Wedding. It was just the perfect time for the Lady Stoneheart plot. But they clearly did not. So I'm like, finally they're going to bring back Lady Stoneheart, but it doesn't seem like it. It seems like the whole point of this arc was to bring the Hound into the War for the Dawn, which is interesting. Maybe there's still a chance that Lady Stoneheart's coming, but I feel like she's not. I feel like at this point they kind of just dropped that plot, which kind of pissed me off, because why would they hinted it heavily with all the hanging? I guess it's just a reference, an Easter egg to Lady Stoneheart. We're never going to see her in the show, I guess. Wouldn't it be great if we did? But we don't. Relating to Lady Stoneheart, maybe spoiling her identity, we get the Riverland stuff. And with all these developments with Bran this season and the whole build up to the War for the Dawn and Jon's resurrection and stuff, it just seems like this whole Riverland stuff is really trivial. And I feel like that's the point of having this plot here. This was actually supposed to happen before Jaime went to Dorne, I believe. If Jaime went to Dorne actually happened at all in the books. But this was supposed to happen before Jaime went to Dorne. It was supposed to be a swapped order. But they're doing it now. Jaime is in the Riverlands trying to win back Riverrun from the Blackfish. and he's finally reunited with Brienne. I feel like that scene could have handled much better. I didn't really feel the emotion that should have been there. There should have been a really big tension and emotional moment there, because Brienne was truly the person that brought Jaime back on a redemption arc. But the true question is, Jaime is a very complex character, and that's why he's one of the most intriguing in my opinion. Maybe one of my favorites. I don't know, but did he learn from his time with Brienne in season 3, I believe, or is he just falling back on his old ways? Is he just going to be that? And I think it's a little bit of both. I definitely think he's on a path to start changing. I feel like he went so far up with Brienne. Cersei brought him back down, but he's sort of the mix of Brienne and Cersei's influence, sort of starting to wane and starting to bring him back up now that he's not with Cersei. So I feel like this whole encounter with Brienne did have a purpose to sort of help boost Jaime's character arc. That wave at the end definitely symbolized something, I believe. I'll get to that in a minute. But I did feel like this arc, and that scene could have been done better. But I do definitely feel like this arc was really trivial in the whole scheme of things. Now that we're getting into actual War of the Dawn stuff, it's just like fighting over a castle. If that would have happened in season 4 when it was supposed to happen, then maybe I would have been like, okay, this is pretty interesting stuff. This definitely feels like a season 4 aftermath of Red Wedding plot. Like, it should have definitely been there. I feel like there's sort of it's incorrect placement in a way to put it here, but what are you gonna do? I guess that's what they decided to go with. They needed a plot for Jaime in this season, and they put it back because they needed him away from Cersei. So they put that Riverlands plot in, which is actually pretty clever, bringing back a plot that was skipped in the books to sort of make as means to an end. But the scene between Jaime and Edmure in the tent was really good. It was really riveting, and it was really interesting. It's sort of a commentary on the whole show in a way. I really liked it. It's really well directed, really well written. I thought Edmure's performance was actually really good. I didn't really expect that because we haven't really seen him since the early seasons. But I remember him. If I remember correctly, he's not too like cool, tough guy. I remember him being sort of, I don't know what the word is, but you know what I mean. If you watch the show, if I remember correctly, but that was years ago, so obviously it's not going to be fully remembered correctly. But that scene was amazing. But the character that they really blew, who was being built up last season, is the Blackfish. He had an off-screen death. Really, he couldn't just realize, oh shit, this is pointless. We're gonna lose anyway. Instead of dying defending a piece of land, why don't I go defend my family in the north? Why don't I go away with Brienne and Podrick? But no, he died off-screen, or at least that's what I thought. Theory time. What if the Blackfish escaped off screen, and the person to him was a person that told that his death was a loyalist to the Blackfish, and what if he escaped off screen, or they let him escape, and he's on his way to help in the north, in the north? That's my theory, but that's just a theory, a show theory. Fuck that shit. Anyway. Continuing on, that's my theory. Probably not true, knowing these showrunners, to be honest. Probably not going to happen. He's probably dead. But for such a cool character, to bring him back one episode and then give him an off-screen... Like, no, they brought him back last episode, but you know what I mean. Like, bring him back an episode and a half and then give him an off-screen death after not seeing him for years. Really, I feel like a good characteristic with the Blackfish is his running. And bringing him back to run again for a good cause would be pretty awesome. So, final plot of this episode was Daenerys' storyline. The scene with Tyrion, Grey Worm, and why can't I remember her name? The woman that works with Daenerys. I'm blanking on her name. But that scene was hilarious. I really liked it. It was very funny, very awkward. And I really enjoyed it. And I knew something was building up because I remember that scene of the windows blowing in from the trailer. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be happening now. It's too quiet. And of course, we see that. At first, I thought it was. I thought Euron got there early. I thought Euron beat Theon and Yara at first, and I'm like, oh shit. But then I realized. Then they explain it. It's the masters coming back for their slaves. They made the compromise. The compromise was bullshit. They want their slaves back, and obviously Daenerys isn't there to fight. They don't want to fight, and they're actually smart in a way, because if they don't stay and defend the castle will crumble, and the entire city will fall from the center out. But if they stay and defend the castle, which is the core of the city, will stand, and the city might be a good amount of the city might be wiped out, but it will be less easy when if there's a fortified place in the middle going after the people that are trying to wipe out the city. So it's actually a pretty smart tactic, but obviously it's useless because Daenerys comes back. Oh no, we never knew Daenerys was going to come back during this attack. I never expected that. But the thing I didn't expect that they fucking wasted was you see her land, walk in the room, and Drogon flies away. Like, what the fuck? Like, why wouldn't she just see what's happening, fly over on Drogon, and burn the entire fleet to a crisp in one go? That's how Targaryens were able to conquer the Seven Kingdoms in the first place. It would have been great parallel to see Daenerys fly in and burn the entire fleet to a crisp to Aegon's conquest. It would have been like a really good parallel. And it would have been like the sort of the start of Daenerys' conquest, taking her enemies out here. But no, unless they do that in Exodus where Drogon comes back, what I think is really going to happen is they're going to have either what I think is going to happen is they're either going to have Theon and Yara come at the nick of time and help them with their fleet, or they're going to have the two dragons that were underground come out and flip out and do shit. But they could have done such an epic scene. Maybe they'll do it. Maybe they'll do it. But they could have done such an epic scene with Drogon just burning through the fleet of the Slayer, which would be awesome. It'll be a great parallel to Aegon's conquest and truly the start of Daenerys' conquest. But who knows? Maybe they'll do it next episode. Maybe they blew it. I don't know. Maybe they'll do something even better that I don't expect. Let's see. And that's pretty much goes through the plots of this episode. Arya's storyline shit. Tommen's storyline had pros and cons. I definitely thought it was overall good. Well, that's King's Landing storyline as a whole. Jaime and Bran had the good part was the conversation between Edmure and Jaime, but the rest was shit. They wasted it unless they bring back the Blackfish in the way that I said. Brotherhood Without Banners plot was disappointing that Lady Stoneheart wasn't coming back after that build-up, but it was overall good. I'd say it was a good subplot, and Daenerys' plot was shit. So it was pretty much the worst episode of Game of Thrones, but you can see why it's still good. And next week is episode 9. And if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you know that episode 9 is always the shit goes down episode. That's when all the crazy shit happens. And I'm wondering, what do you think they're going to save for episode 9 or episode 10? What I think they're going to do, I don't know, because we haven't seen Bran in a very long time. I think they're going to do some Bran now, some Bran in episode 10. That's what I think they're in episode 9, some Bran in episode 10. That's what I think they're going to do. Not sure. But what I know they're going to do is they're going to finish the Daenerys thing, whole Daenerys thing. It's going to be epic, whatever it is, and that's going to happen. And Daenerys maybe decides, maybe the big what the fuck moment will be Daenerys is like, okay, this is it. Maybe if Theon and Yara come, I don't know. Or maybe she'll without them be like, okay, this is it. We are going to Westeros now. Fuck Meereen, fuck Slaver's Play, fuck Essos. We are going to Westeros now. And it's such a good parallel to Aegon's conquest, where he was never interested in the affairs of the East. He always looked westward, and I feel like that would be really cool to see Daenerys and Aegon parallels. Because I know they do Mad King parallels with their heirs, but wouldn't it be cool if it was Aegon the Conqueror parallels? But anyway, I know they're going to do that. I think they're going to save the big Bran White Walkers maybe coming through the wall shit, which I'm expecting, but don't know till episode 10. Oh shit! I forgot about the thing that's probably going to happen in episode 9. They're probably gonna. I feel like Jon Snow's army is probably gonna beat Ramsay because I do feel like both Sansa and Jon are endgame characters. Especially Jon might be Azor Ahai, so obviously he's going to be endgame character. Um, so Jon and Sansa, I do think are going to defeat the Boltons and probably retake Winterfell for the Starks, which would be amazing. And I think that's probably going to be the big what the fuck of this next episode, but who knows? I certainly don't until I watch the episode. I believe it is actually called Battle of the Bastards, which is implying it could be implying another something, but I do think it's implying Jon versus Ramsay. Um, anyway, that's pretty much gonna wrap up my review. 26 minutes in, Jesus Christ, let me shut up. Anyway, yeah, like I said, this season has its winners and losers. Every season has its winners and losers. But really, for a season that had my favorite episode of the show ever, to have my least favorite episode of the show ever, that's a good compromise. I'm fine with that. It wasn't a bad episode anyway. So, that's about it. Done talking about this episode. Yeah. So, yeah, and, yeah, so, yeah. Needle Dick will return.